If I told you these two things about the Velociti Elite from Under Armour, would you return this shoe? Before we get into it, watch this. My name is Aubrey. I'm a very average runner, simply trying to be less average by the day. As at the time of recording this, for the first time ever, we've crossed the 2,000 subscriber mark. We're at 2,050. Thank you very much. Let's get on with this review. Now, I'm going to do a full review of the shoe, but I'm mindful that you might not make it till the end of the video. So let's start with the two reasons why I'm considering returning the Velociti Elite. The number one reason why I'm considering returning this shoe is the outsole. I'm going to expand on this point later on in the review, but just in case you don't make it to the end, let me explain this point using one of my favorite running shoes of all time, Nike's Vaporfly 3. You see, this midsole here is a comfortable and very soft material. You don't want to expose that on the outsole. So what Nike has done is place these black parts and here to make sure that the midsole is protected from wearing out very quickly. I actually criticized the Vaporfly 3 for exposing that midsole in some of the parts. And that is the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro's outsole, which gives you full coverage that no part of the midsole is actually touching the ground. Gel Nimbus 25, that's a tough rubber that's protecting that midsole. And then finally, that is the Velociti Elite. The same material that you're seeing coming from the midsole is fully exposed at the bottom. I'm going to talk a bit more about this after, but that's my first reason. Reason number two, finishing touches. I would like Under Armour to consider giving this shoe the finish it deserves to make it look as good as it performs. I'm only bringing this up because of the cost. It's £220, and that brings in an expectation that Under Armour would give this shoe the finishing touch it deserves. Where the midsole joins the upper, it's got this rugged, unfinished look about it, and it might be the intended look, or it might be, maybe it's a fault just on my pair of shoes. I don't know, but I would love Under Armour to consider in the next version of this shoe, such little tiny details would make this shoe look as good as it feels when you're running in it. Okay, let's get on with the review like we normally do. The three things you need to know. The first thing is the weight. I wear a 9.5. It fits perfectly true to size, and it weighed in at 238 grams. The second thing is the price. £220 directly from the Under Armour website. And then lastly, the stack height. This shoe has 39 mil at the back and then 31 at the front, giving you an 8 mil drop. Okay, let's get on with the review. Starting with the heel, no fault whatsoever. It's a very standard looking heel, but it gives you a very secure feeling when you're running. I didn't have any problems with heel slips. It locked me down and it felt great. Okay, next up is the tongue. A very plush feeling tongue, despite it being very thin. I would have preferred to see it being gusseted, meaning I would have preferred if it was attached to the upper and therefore fixing its position, as opposed to leaving the runner to decide how to place the tongue, which might be a different wearing experience every time you put on a shoe. In terms of the lacing system, nothing to talk about here. No faults, exactly how a lacing system needs to be. Simple. Put holes in the shoe, fortify those holes so it doesn't break, you're good to go. Well done on this one, Under Armour. Next up, the upper. This is one of the best. Hold on, let me do it in this camera for emphasis. This is one of the best uppers that I have seen in a running shoe. Check this out. This Warp 2.0 is exactly what this shoe needs. A reinforced upper, but a very minimal look as well as touch without compromising what this upper is doing. It holds your foot in really well. And that mesh that they've used is very, very breathable. Under Armour, in my opinion, this is one of the best uppers that I have seen in a running shoe. This is why I'm annoyed about those two things we talked about. Staying on the upper, toe box. There is room. My foot felt very, very good being in there. I also like the aesthetic touch of that exaggerated logo at the front. Love that. If you turn it around to the back, the heel, how it looks. I don't know if those things are reflective for extra safety, security when you're out in the road in the dark. I'm not too sure, but I love just how it looks. This is a race day shoe. So the midsole is going to be the star of the show. They've got 4 different elements in this midsole. The first thing is that bad boy. This is the lining that sits in there. That's the first thing that your foot is in contact with, and it's a very nice touch. The next layer is this foam here. Now listen, I don't care about the technical term. All you need to know is it's amazingly comfortable. It is very well put together, and this is what Under Armour is known for in terms of their foam. This is a very nice touch. And sitting between this foam and the one at the bottom is a full-length carbon plate. And what that will do, 2 things. 1, it provides stability because you don't want to be running in just pure foam. You're going to be all over the place. So that carbon plate gives you the stability that you need. The second thing is, you see, you can't easily bend that. And that's because it's going to be able to propel you forward as you run. That's why this makes it a very good race day shoe. I'm not going to fault it. The last bit of foam is this super critical foam that's running at the bottom. Also an amazing foam. I absolutely love how all these 4 elements are working together to give the runner the experience that they need, depending on whatever distance you're doing, whether that is 5, 10, half marathon, even a full marathon. Lastly, the outsole. Now, I touched on this at the start, but you need a lot more detail and context, so let's discuss it a little bit more. This is where I think running shoe reviewers need to be a bit more responsible. So let me say this now, and I hope if anyone from Under Armour watches this, this is the part you pay attention to. I promise you, I'm not just trying to be reckless and just criticize this shoe for the sake of a YouTube video. But I want you to know that I understand the science behind this outsole. The creative minds explained it like this. You see, for a shoe to be race legal, it can't go past 40 millimeters at the back. So you therefore maximize what you can. And what Under Armour has done is do away with the glue as well as the rubber that might extend the stack height, getting into that 40 mil. I get that. The second reason is that is dead weight. You might not need it. I also get that. But you see, what I don't understand is I did weigh this shoe and it is 238 grams. I also weighed my Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro that provides me full coverage. It gives me the dual foam structure, which this shoe has. It also gives me a plate in there, and that weighed in at 238 grams in the same shoe size. Let me show you this now. My favorite running shoe, this bad boy, gives me outsole coverage, and this weighs 208 grams. I get where we're going, and I get the thinking behind it, because yes, it would have even been heavier had they done that and maybe put it at a less competitive advantage against other shoes. I get all of that. But all I am saying is, whilst I agree this outsole is high traction, I agree that it's very comfortable. It could be made much more resilient if you strategically place some outsole patches of a more resilient rubber to protect the shoe. I only point that out because the shoe costs 220 pounds, and that's a lot of money to me and a lot of my viewers. It might not be to some, but to me and a lot of my viewers, that's a lot of money. I therefore would like, just for Under Armour to consider in the next version, maybe placing a bit more of different rubbers in the outsole. Just a thought. Who is this shoe for? Now, the Velociti Elite is a race day shoe. This is not the type of shoe you want to be running on every single time, especially considering what I've just mentioned about the outsole. So this is for that person that wants to challenge their speed. You can actually use it for speed workouts, but I would highly recommend using it for race day. I watch Run Testers. They're one of my favorite YouTube channels. And one of these guys just randomly decides he's going to do a solo marathon. And he tested this shoe. during that time. And he felt that actually for a marathon, he would use a different shoe because this shoe did not give him the comfort that he needed in the latter miles of his marathon run. For me personally, I run 5, 10K and half marathons. This is a perfect shoe. I can't fault it. And lastly, the Tesco test. For those of you new to my channel, at the end, we'll put every shoe up and go, would you wear this doing random different things? So if you're in the States, that might be Walmart. Here in England, it's Tesco, it's Asda, whatever you want to call it. I absolutely would. It looks amazing. But unfortunately, that outsole would mean I only want to keep it for those special days, race days. And therefore, I probably wouldn't wear it anywhere else apart from those key workouts as well as race day. And as I always say, if you found this video very useful, please do consider subscribing and joining me in the comments section. I would absolutely love to have you. Thank you very much for watching.